And we have numbers whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, guys. Welcome to Clevelandmoto, episode number 383. Ooh. Light them up, boys. Oh, nice. Sorry, faking it. I'm drinking a chocolate milkshake with peanut butter in it, thanks to Chris Smith. Went on a little thunder run before the podcast. Got us all of our carbohydrates, our sugars, and our cow juice. Got us going. We got, fresh pot going on the thing. We're looking rocking good. To my immediate left is
Oscar.
To his immediate left is
Steve, Sleepy.
And to his
Dan KROMKE.
And to his
Chris Smith.
And to his
Johnny Mac.
And no grumpy sewer guy tonight. He was also AWOL for AMA Vintage Day, so we don't know. He might be into decoy ducks or something. I don't know what happened to him. We may have lost him. Sad, but true.
Man overboard.
And your humble narrator, Unkie Phil Waters. So we are hot on the heels of AMA Vintage Days. In fact, if you listen to the podcast I dropped a day or so ago, that was Liza coordinating for our group between the Motorcycles and Misfits, Moto, and Clevelandmoto. Now, as usual, the AMA fucked up the listing. Despite there was only one fucking misfit there.
Right.
Do you think they listed it as the Clevelandmoto podcast? No. They didn't list it as the Clevelandmoto podcast and guests. They listed it as the Motorcycles and Misfits. Well,
how much did she love that shit?
She loved it.
Yeah.
I think it said like
she got
Liza Miller's
podcast.
Liza Miller's podcast.
And then on the little fine print, it was like Clevelandmoto. And
with
Moto
guests from Clevelandmoto. So yeah, long and short, it was a lot of fun. Despite there being a top 10 thing, which again, you guys know, we fucking hate top 10 lists.
Hate them.
We don't do those.
We don't do those. And top 5 lists.
John really didn't do it.
John was so salty with that.
I'm kind of in postpartum depression right now from leaving Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, post-rally depression, PRD. Yeah, post-rally depression is a real thing. And
whose blower is that?
But my fucking God, we had a good time.
Yeah.
It was crazy. As usual, it lived up to the hype.
Yep.
Banner year.
Every year, we somehow convince people to come to Mid-Ohio that had never been there before. We had several podcast listeners come and find us
Man,
in our bad neighborhood, in our FEMA recovery tent. Our FEMA recovery camp was populated. It was so much easy up in one place.
But you know what was cool this year?
Yeah.
All the listeners that came this year were cool.
Fantastic.
Not that most of them aren't usually, but we had some psychotic psycho nut jobs come around. And this year we had none. Everybody was super fucking cool, man. Yeah.
And Mike made us breakfast for 3 days.
Yeah. Our new neighbor, Mike, he was cool.
Win.
Yep. He likes his Kirkland bourbon.
Yeah.
He likes his Kirkland bourbon. He's not afraid to drink it. He was rocking around in a Yamaha 2-stroke for ever so long. He won a trophy.
An AT1.
And he won a trophy for it. It was a beautiful bike.
Yeah.
And he rocked the hell out of it.
Well, once he found out the bourbon was free, he enjoyed a lot of it.
He was in rare form.
Yeah.
He was
having
still
a good time. Up at 7 a.m. making breakfast, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
Coffee and breakfast every morning.
Yeah.
That guy's,
But he was there till 2:30.
Get him on the payroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And he provided with a breakfast.
Yeah. He made up for it. He didn't just take. He gave a lot.
He gave a lot.
Yeah.
He
Thanks,
gave
Mike.
and gave. God bless you, Mike. It was so much fun, so many listeners. And that's the thing that I do want to stress is because of these podcasts, we do get new human beings coming to Mid-Ohio, coming to AMA Vintage Days, who never even thought about going. And the Moto team turned it up. They brought a goddamn camper with a U-Haul. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They left with more bikes than they showed up with. Go figure. Yep. And they had to take apart the Honda Gyro delivery scooter because it wouldn't fit on the trailer in that configuration. So I see him rocking around that giant box. Like, what are you going to do with that? It was pretty cool. I'm going to hand the mic off because I got a delivery.
Those guys actually put some miles on that fucking thing, too.
Oh, yeah.
It never stopped going.
No. Yeah. I saw it on the ground once or twice, too. After the mid-afternoon deluge that
he did actually get some pizzas and sell some out of the
Did
back.
he really?
Oh, he did?
He threw a couple in there, and I think he took around.
Oh, yeah,
people,
you're right.
People were like, you got any more of them pizzas?
Well, that's what I said. Like, next year, if he brings a pizza oven in that fucking thing, he can make a shit ton of money, man.
I've got an oven in the RV. I mean, we could heat up pizzas. And
He did take it also on the barrel rolls, right?
Yeah,
the barrel races?
That thing went everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere that it
cool.
should.
Yeah.
It did.
That was great. So anybody buy anything this year?
Besides you?
This year.
At Mid-Ohio.
I did not.
No.
No.
John?
I didn't buy anything, but I came home with a free buddy scooter.
Oh, nice.
With a title.
Explain
Well, you did
that one,
get.
please.
Well, he got 37 bikes running and sold them for Phil. So
Well,
I think
I would rather hear it from John.
I was giving him props.
So I got 37 bikes running for Phil. I don't think 37, but I think about 14 bikes.
Yeah.
Between the ones that I worked, helped Phil out with, and other
yeah.
people, and whispering that I did. Yep.
Yeah. You got a couple bikes that Phil was like, it's probably not going to run, but if you want to fuck with it, and then all of a sudden it's like,
That's blown up.
yeah. So you definitely, John did his magic. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Every single bike I think that I said was blown up and didn't run, John calls me. I'm in the hospital. I'm over at the ER getting stitched up.
I got to hear that one
And
too, by the way.
I'm getting reports. Oh, we're in our swap meet spot, riding around these bikes that you said were blown up.
Yep.
And every time you guys would give me an update, it was another running bike.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm I'm like, man, I can just hear the price tags going up and up and up in my head. It's like, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Hey, we got a buyer for this.
Yeah.
We got a buyer that.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to be at the hospital,
Right.
and I knew all we had a chance to do on Thursday was dump the bikes off. So I said to Dustin, who is a very good mechanic too.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just run over there and try to organize that and see what we can do just to try to kickstart the whole swap meet thing. And turns out we were able to get a number of the bikes. We triaged them.
We only brought home 2 bikes.
Yeah.
And we took like 11 or 12 bikes to sell, 13 bikes to sell. So you guys killed it. We sold all this old iron. We sold all this shit we didn't want.
Hey, listeners, would you like to hear
A
my
joke?
Phil
Oh.
Oh.
in the hospital?
My saying was our prices are so low, they're lower than possum pussy.
Yes, he did. And they giggle like.
So for anybody who hasn't heard the story, one of the
I
bikes,
have not.
Yeah, one of the bikes in question, Thursday night, we weren't even in the bag yet. We weren't even close to the bag. We were still making shit happen. We were still unloading stuff and kind of got our camp built a little bit, and we're kind of looking around for something to stab with a screwdriver. And I'd taken a look at this Sherco, a Sherco 290 X-Ride. A Sherco 290 X-Ride is a very fucking cruel mistress. And I got this one from a friend of ours as a weird trade, like a 9-level trade a few years ago. And it's a 2015, and I got the thing with like 200 miles on it. And so first year I got it, I didn't ride it or anything. I just had it. And there's, I don't really want to ride. And X-Ride's dual sport. It's legal on the street. It's street legal.
But it's almost like a trials bike too. So it's a very unique bike.
Yeah, it's a very strange bike.
The gearing's crazy. The torque is crazy. Everything
Absolutely.
about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Sherco X-Ride is a very weird bike, 290cc 2-stroke. And it's got a serious attitude problem. Okay, I mean, it would just as soon rip your face off as look at you.
And it's a tall bike.
It's very tall.
It's very tall.
It's a very, very tall bike.
Yeah.
It sits real tall. It's just a big machine. And it's a big machine for people who know how to ride trials bikes and know how to ride dirt bikes and all that other cool shit. I'm neither of those people. Right? I'm not good at any of those pursuits. When the stuff you just talked about right there, that's not me. That's not what I do. So it's a big machine. It's it's happy to go along and rip your fucking leg off. So it's French, which means everything's wrong.
Yeah, it's got a poop chute. It doesn't have a muffler. It literally has like a poop chute in the middle of the bag.
Monsieur Poop to shoot le.
Yeah, it is. And the kickstart stroke on it is about 4.5 inches because the Kickstarter swings down and hits the fucking peg. So like you can't get a full travel kick on it either. It's got this little short wussy kick. But you can't be wussy about it because it's a 292 stroke. So you do kind of have to give it a boot. And I was wearing my...
One good kick gives you about maybe 2 pops.
Yeah, and I was wearing my like Merrill crawling around on wet rocks shoes, right? I was wearing these like Moab, hippie shoes. Not anything resembling a motocross boot. And I was wearing some BDU shorts, I had my drinking shirt on kind of thing. Like was not ready to go around on a fucking trials bike or a dirt bike. So we pull the seat off of it as you do, because that's where the air goes in. And we shot 11 cents worth of ether down into it and gave it 3 kicks. The first kick was rather pathetic, I'll admit it. The second kick, getting better. The third kick had throttle wide open, and motherfucker, she lit. And she lit like there was no tomorrow. Happy to be running again after 3 years of not running in my warehouse. And I brought it to Mid-Ohio last year, and I didn't ride it at all. Pulled it out, leaned it against the fence, and couldn't bring myself to sell it. Couldn't bring myself to put a price tag on it. And I actually didn't want to talk to people about it. I just thought, you know what? It's a street legal-ish bike. I'm going to ride it around and get to know it. So I'll just take it home with me if it doesn't start up. I kicked it.
Well, you could tell it would be a magnet for a conversation
Yes.
that you can't even have because it's like,
Right. And I don't know shit about trials bikes. So, and I don't want to. So it's going around. And so we only saw one other running Sherco. It's a very rare brand, right? And so third kick, she lights up. She's angry. We get her settled down and get her settled down good enough. It's actually holding a fucking idle. I'm pretty happy about that. So me being me, don't bother putting the seat on, John. This is a trials bike. Let's just put the bitch in gear and ride it around, take a few victory laps and see if we can figure out where the idle's going to be and, make it happy. Now, I didn't take a look at any air in the tire and haven't done for at least 3 years. I didn't go through any maintenance whatsoever. There was about a half a tank of gas in it from 3 years ago. And it lit and it was happy. And so lit and it was happy. Well, I as soon as I snicked it down into first gear, the discussion was over. The fantasy about riding this bike in a controlled fashion had just ceased to exist. As soon as I snicked it down into first gear, with a trials bike, first gear is like a negative 14-to-1 gear ratio. It might as well go backwards. So snicking it into first gear, it just instantly engaged the back tire.
any other bike probably would have just stalled.
I guarantee any other motorcycle on God's green earth would have stalled, but not a trials bike.
I knew when you took off because that's where this is going.
This is going.
It was in gear.
It was in gear.
It did not stall.
Right.
You took off.
I just took off. I didn't have any choice.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
And I noticed when you kicked it in gear, it did a full tire rotation without moving.
No, I was standing up on the pegs and
it
was
started going, and then you jumped on and just went with it.
Yeah.
Which was good on you.
Yeah,
hey.
Never met a horse I couldn't ride.
Yeah.
And
so he was riding it, and I'm like, I wonder.
When it started leaving without me, I was like, I better get on there. It'd probably better if I was on that bike than off that bike. So I just jumped on it real quick, and I stood up on the pegs and just rode it around. And first gear, obviously, no problem whatsoever. Second gear, no problem whatsoever. But it became very evident that hydraulic clutch I was using was doing nothing.
Yeah. That's what after you took off, I'm like, I wonder if his clutch is stuck because your clutch had just been stuck on your cable.
And I kept riding it, and I realized I had no clutch. Third gear didn't matter. Fourth gear didn't matter. There's no clutch.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
That's how you break them loose.
That's how you break them loose. So I kept wheeling it, no problem. Wheelie it, no problem. Wheelie it, no problem. I could slow it down to less than 1 mile an hour and no clutch. But it didn't care because as soon as you cracked it, the front end just came up and away it went. Yep. I was like, well, yeah, it's not too bad, right? As long as I don't ever have to stop. And then on my 8th lap or 9th lap, I came around the corner by our friends from Louisville in the big party tent. And as I came around the corner, unfortunately, I saw what I didn't want to see, which is like a Abbott and Costello movie, which is I see a truck backing up with a Coleman pop-up trailer on it, backing up at, negative 12, feet per hour. And it's moving real slow, and it's taking up all the real estate. So I was like, well, second gear is what I was in. And I was like, well, I'll bet you if I slow this thing down enough that I'll just snick it into neutral like a cool guy. And I'll snick it into neutral and I'll just wait for this fucking trailer to back up and get out of my way. But he had kind of the whole lane taken up. So I was like, okay. So I went to snick it down into neutral. I apparently overshot neutral and went straight to first. And when I went to first, the bike said, we love first gear.
Giddy up.
First gear is the thing that we're meant to do.
We're unstuck. unstoppable.
We are literally unstoppable in first gear. And that's what it should be called. Sherco is Italian or French for unstoppable in first gear. So that bike fucking first geared itself. Now here's where I get a little angry because I immediately reached out with my hand to hit my kill switch because it was clearly not stopping. So I reached out to my hand to hit the kill switch, and the French moved the kill switch for some strange reason to the place that is the flash to pass location on every other motorcycle on planet Earth.
Yep.
So when I was about to hit the back of that trailer, I didn't think it'd be really handy to flash my lights at somebody right now.
Although he appreciated it.
I mean, it's not even on the right-hand side. It's
No.
on the opposite
It's
side.
on the left-hand side in a location that has only been reserved to be flash to pass on every vehicle in the past 25 years. So when I was reaching around for the hardware on the right-hand side to do something, there is nothing. On the right-hand side of a Sherco, there is not a single control. There is just the throttle. So I'm stabbing around for nothing. Nothing's there. Because it's a trials bike that is street legal and they put the ignition on as an afterthought, the key is located behind the headlight in a location that you cannot operate without needle nose pliers. So reaching in to turn the key would be like if you dropped your keys down a sewer cap and you had to reach in there to turn them off, right? So that wasn't happening. And this all went through my head in about 3.5 feet. And then, ka-dunk, and then I ran into the side of the trailer. But the problem was the motorcycle stopped suddenly. But my 210-pound torso didn't stop so suddenly. It went forward and down, forward and down, forward and down, just like the Zapruder film. Back and to the left, back and to the left. And the magic bullet in this case was a 1/4 inch, 90-degree angle by 1 inch long L-shaped hook that holds the seat on.
Ouch.
Which the seat wasn't there for this adventure.
Isn't it sharpened a little bit?
No, it's fucking bullshit. It is literally,
force.
I'm going to call it 6 to 7 millimeters.
Yeah.
Round stock.
It's legit.
Round stock.
Yeah.
That goes 1 inch horizontal and 1 inch vertical as it's welded into the frame of the motorcycle.
Right.
And of course, it's pointing towards the rear of the motorcycle as though to just grab your scrotum and relieve you of it.
Yikes.
So fortunately, I missed the berries.
That could have been such worse.
I missed the berries by
An inch.
yeah.
Yeah.
John knows this better than anybody. Yeah, John got front row seats for that adventure.
I had my face right up in your...
So, of course, when this all happened, the motorcycle did eventually stall. And I reached down immediately and did what I knew because it hurt.
Yeah.
So I reached my hand down to where the hurt was, and I put my hand on the hurt real hard because I know a thing or two. And so I was applying direct pressure to the hurt, and a couple of guys from Louisville run over. Hey, Phil, what's going on, man? What the hell? I was like, dude, fucking clutch is locked up on this bitch. I was trying to release it, and then trailer, the world's slowest trailer out of fucking nowhere, right? Getting hit by this would have been like being hit by a glacier. There's no way to get run into by a glacier. I saw the glacier and I ran dead long into it.
You're basically the Titanic.
I had other things going on at the time, right? Yeah. So, Titanic proves it can happen.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm really not okay.
Yeah.
And so I pulled my hand off for one brief moment to kind of examine the situation. Because sometimes you never know whether you were just poked or whether you were stabbed
or anything. Yeah.
And in this case, I was gouged.
Looked like a fucking broken hydraulic line.
Oh, it did. My hand was red. My whole hand was red. There was nothing not red about it. And I could feel cold wind blowing on my ass. Pretty good considering it was 90 degrees.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck. And so my buddy goes, dude, just fucking go to the aid station, go get taped up, do whatever you got to do. And I'm like, no, man, I just ran into dude's trailer. I'm not going anywhere. I got to talk to the guy. And there's a guy driving the trailer with no shirt on, about 1,000 years old. Crypt keeper stand-in. And so, but he's like, he doesn't know I hit the trailer. So he's taken 73 more cuts to get it perfectly straight. So then I didn't know this, but the owner of the trailer, Levi, he comes walking up and he's like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. But I got to talk to this guy. I ran into his trailer. And he's like, that's my trailer. And I'm like, dude, I'm Phil.
Nice to meet you, Levi.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm Phil from Cleveland. I'm good for it. Or, unless you want to have a long discussion, I got to go figure out what's going on. And my other buddy's like, no, just fucking get out of here, man. So it's all in the pictures. And so here's me. I'm a fucking hero, right? I'm not going to lay the bike down and walk home like an idiot. I've had my ass kicked at the schoolyard before. I've had people steal my bicycle. No, you get back on that bitch and you ride it home. So I got back on that bitch and I kicked it. And lucky for me, it started. Woo! So then I was riding it around and the clutch still didn't work. But now I'm riding around with my left hand on an open fucking wound, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm riding it around with one hand. I got it in second gear. I realize it's not going to stall. I can't work the kill switch that's not where it should be because my left hand is busy keeping my chicken meat from falling out of my leg. Fuck me running. So I do a couple of passes of a campsite and I'm trying to get that neutral that we were talking about earlier. I was like, if I can just get neutral with no clutch, I'll just coast this baby in, put the side stand down, take my hand off the injury for a brief moment, get off the bike and proceed to be a hero and laugh it off as you do. I couldn't make it happen. So 2-3 laps of the campsite, I couldn't get it. And I couldn't get neutral. I tried. So I said, fuck it. So I went the other way and I went into third. So I went into third. I'd reconned a nice spot right next to John's trailer where I figured there was nothing else there and it looked like a nice soft piece of land to crash in. I lined the bike up and I waited until the coast was clear and I just rode it in on an idle. And I rode it on an idle and when I got to the spot I wanted to crash, I just grabbed the front brake as hard as I could and I stepped to the right. And I walked off that fucking bike like I was coming down, the stairs at prom. I walked off the bike, just left it. And as soon as the bike went horizontal, that bike let everybody know I was embarrassed. That bike did the mating call of Mid-Ohio. It was
that sounds like somebody wrecked.
Fucking rev limiter. And all the chickens came running. Everybody with a fucking penchant for blood and gore showed up. And so Haley came over and hit the kill switch. She figured it out because she's European. Shut the fucking thing off. So she shut the fucking thing off and they proceeded to getting it up vertical for whatever. And they're like, are you okay? Are you great? And I just walked over to the tent full of my people. And I said, is anybody here an EMT or higher? And no hands went up. So I said, John, you'll do.
I'm like, I think I got a med kit in the RV.
Sleepy produced a med kit. I think John produced a med kit.
Yep.
I went into the trailer for privacy and dignity restoration. Got my trow down, which were destroyed. My favorite pair of shorts.
We started taking pictures.
And these motherfuckers instantly started taking pictures. As soon as I pulled my hand away.
Why?
I'm glad they did, because in retrospect, once we had the med kits open and we were doing an inventory of our assets and liabilities, my asset was leaking blood all over the trailer.
It wasn't that bad. I was
Right.
impressed.
Right.
Pressure right away must have
The
really
direct
helped.
pressure helps all the time.
Also-
if you ever have an injury.
I'd like to say, as the video guy, I took no video. I did not want to do that.
No, do you know who the guy with the camera was? The guy that we
doctor.
later found out was a doctor.
That couldn't work on you because he was in a different state, which is just weird.
Bullshit, dude.
Good,
No, I
Good
understand
Samaritan law protects everybody.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
But anyway,
Yeah.
he did give words of encouragement, like go to the hospital.
Yeah.
That was his one thing he kept saying.
I would use duct tape if you had
Yeah,
it.
And then Pete's wife
don't
kept saying the
fuck
same
around
thing.
out here.
I think Pete's wife is a nurse, and she kept saying the same thing. Go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because,
I'm not a nurse, and I said go to the hospital.
Yeah, we all did. We all did. Everybody did.
Like,
so
you
a piece
go
of my
to the
leg fell out.
Yes. And then John flicked it on me. I had a piece of Phil on my face.
This is a little chunk of fat globule. You should have fried it up and ate
so
it. Like
continue.
you said, if you're vegan, you can eat it if you're vegan.
Yeah,
If it's-
consent.
Yeah,
Fine.
consent, right? So I was the only meat you've eaten in years is
Yeah, right.
is Phil. Right?
We're a lot closer now.
Filet of Phil. No, you know what?
The body of Phil.
Amen.
The body of Phil compels you.
Yeah, that's the most Christ-like thing I've ever had happen to
And
me.
technically, my gooch was on your face.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
So I would describe the wound as about
Yeah.
over 1.5 inches.
Oh, yeah.
I could get, if I wanted to, I probably could have stuck it up to one knuckle.
He had a third
It was
input.
through the
full
skin,
on.
through the little bit of fat that you would normally have in the inside of your leg, down to the sinew.
Yeah, I was in the sinew.
A little bit of a flapper hanging off.
It was a flapper hanging off.
It was a nice
It was
hole.
pretty ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a gouge.
Like about 10 stitches.
Yeah, John called it.
He called it.
John called it. John's the official stitch witch. Yeah. But so we got a little gauze pad there, and we got 2 different types of tape. One type of tape that didn't stick to much, and then the other type of tape that even the doctors were like, "What the fuck is this tape?" The nurse who took the tape off of me later on at the hospital the next day, because you can't go to the hospital the same day. That's weird. So
Are you kidding me?
No. We did it.
What was the time period between when you?
Well, I crashed
had
at
this
about
knocked out, and then you went
8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
It was still light out, so I crashed at about 8 or 8:30.
About 8, I think.
Yeah, and then
Whatever,
then
yeah.
we taped it up, and then then I really started drinking, and so I rubbed some alcohol on it from the inside, and then I started the next morning. I made sure to wake up at 8 a.m. because that's when the urgent care's open, and I called 3 urgent cares. Now a little bit more about the dressing. We had a couple of 4x4 gauze pads, so we put some 4x4 gauze pads on it.
Triple antibiotic.
Last night.
Put some triple antibiotic
Ring
ointment
around
on
the
it.
outside. I didn't put
Not-
any
yeah,
in
not
the
in.
wound.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Good enough, right? Didn't want that to.
Just a barrier to keep the germs along the sides.
Build
there,
a little fort around the wound, so that Mid Ohio can't get in there.
Right.
And I haven't had a tetanus shot since before COVID because why would you, right? So that was a minor issue, but I'm not too worried about that. So anywho. So we tape it all up. But so one of the ideas that we have in the taping is because we've got some, we got some gauze bandage and we got some gauze tape and we wrap it up. And then Sleepy's got this 1/2 inch Marquis de Sade tape, this fucking super ultra
was just in the
waterproof.
kit. It's not my personal tape.
It was amazing. If I ever need to tape air to air, this is the tape I'm going to use. This tape was so good that when we wrapped the patch on, when we put the bandage on there with, 2 12-inch sections of this tape, pretty good sized dressing. And then we decided to, there's no kill like overkill. So we taped the fuck out of it. And then we did a couple of loops around it with the gauze, and Meckle Fresh.
Can you hold your junk up for me, please?
Yeah, fucking that's something you want to hear from your friend. He's behind me working at the ass angle, and he's like trying to pass this stuff through, pass the gauze through in the inside of my leg, and he's like, "Can you lift your junk up for me, please?" Because he had to play through the rough. Yeah, you know what? When the ball's going towards the hole, you got to lift the flag out, right?
Yep.
And so that's what John did. He's a hero, my best friend forever. And so then on top of that, we went and we found some Gorilla Tape.
Yeah.
And so we did Gorilla Tape over top of the whole thing, over top of the gauze, not right on my skin. And we did Gorilla Tape to give this sort of immobilizing factor. It worked really well.
Well, it probably kept everything out of it too, because that
It's
stops
fucking Gorilla
water
Tape.
and
It stops everything.
Yeah.
It stops bullets. So again, proceed to drinking. Cut off my drinking at about 1 or 2 in the morning, so I'm nice.
There's
and
no use going to the hospital. If you've already been drinking, they're just going to park you
They're
in the
going to
room.
park you anyway. Yeah. So it was a good idea not to go to the hospital that night. So the next morning, I call urgent care and I said, "Well, this is it. I've had a puncture wound in my crotch. So I've had a puncture wound in my crotch about, an inch off
12 hours ago.
an inch off my asshole and 2 inches back from my scrotum. Taint the balls, taint the asshole. That's where I was. I was tainted." And I said, "So I'm going to need sutures." And they said, "Are you sure you're going to need sutures?" And I said, "I'm absolutely 100% positive. A doctor even said so. I'm going to need sutures." And they said, "Well, we got a problem because we have no lidocaine." And I said, "Well, I've been accused of many things. I have done oral surgery with no Novocaine. I've done that, but I'm not going to take 10 stitches with no lidocaine." We would do.
What do you got?
We would do fishing line before we would do 10 stitches with no lidocaine. I would do fishing line and booze before 10 stitches and no lidocaine. So no lidocaine at the first urgent care. Call the second urgent care. Second urgent care says, "We have no sutures." I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to drive.
You guys fucking suck.
I'm going to drive past Urgent Care number 1 on the way to Urgent Care number 2. I'll pick up some of the sutures they have that they don't have lidocaine go with, and then we'll turn back and I'll take some lidocaine that you've got to them, and you guys can both do sutures then. I said, why is it that the first place has no fucking lidocaine and the second place has no stitches?
They can't
They
afford
said
their
Mid-Ohio,
inventory.
dude. It's Mid-Ohio weekend. We've had 1,000 people come in.
Well, it turns out there's a thing called ink in the clink. And it turns out that ink in the clink is what's called the Incarceration Festival.
Oh, geez.
It happens at Mansfield Reformatory Prison. It is a music and tattoo festival. Includes Korn, Disturbed, Breaking Benjamin, Evanescence, Danny Wilmer Presents, Lamb of God, Papa Roach, Seether, Falling in Reverse, and 3 Days Grace.
Fuck yeah.
This is the bands that was playing at Ink in the Clink, a tattoo and music festival.
I wonder how many Monster Energy tattoos there were at that show.
All of them. And of course, the Mansfield, Ohio State Reformatory, the Reformatory is where they filmed Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, no, the
Right.
Shirko
Right, and the Shirko Torme. Yes, the Shirko Torme. The Shirko Shank Redemption. So the reason that these guys didn't have any sutures and they didn't have any fucking lidocaine is because the weekend before they gave like 400 fucking stitches
Right.
to all the
mosh
people
pits.
in the mosh pit. And the doctor even told me. So, Chris,
As a former owner of 2 urgent cares, no fucking excuse for that dog shit.
there's no excuse for that dog shit. So, like they said, they both ran out of lidocaine and sutures. So I got in touch with Mansfield Hospital, got in touch with the actual emergency room there. I explained to them what I had going on, and they were very sweet, lovely people. I drove the extra 15 miles, and I got there. And I stopped Little Wendy's on the way, you know. So I got there and walked in.
I was like, we're not that far. You could just drive all the way
That's
back
what
home in an
John was
hour.
like, just drive home. And I was
Go to
like,
the Cleveland Clinic.
yeah, and have the best care
Don't
anywhere.
fucking go to the clinic.
Well, but long and short of it is, it was better than 2 places that had no sutures and lidocaine. So I went to Mansfield, and they were wonderful people. And I got there, and they were super sweet. And they said, well, where have you been? Because we had figured out we didn't want
Where have you been?
Well, we didn't want to tell the people this was a motorcycle-related injury as to not affect the statistics in the United States of America, right? We don't need any more black eyes for motorcycling as a sport or vocation.
Good man.
So we had lots of fun stories
We're
about
in
like
the church.
bicycling injuries and shit like that and whatever. And then so I basically got there and the lady goes, oh, wow. Oh, were you down at AMA Vintage Days?
Are you kidding me?
She was straight up with me because
Fuck.
by the time I had gotten there Friday morning, we'd already had a helicopter land.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a parade of goddamn ambulances.
Yep.
So the entire Troy Township Volunteer Fire Department showed up with all their toys because somebody got ejected from a high-speed golf cart and got their head crushed by a side-by-side. That's the thing that happens at Mid-Ohio now.
Day one.
Day one, Thursday night.
Woof.
Thursday
But
night.
you know what's sad is that we found out, because everybody was making fun of the guy, like, dumbass, whatever. Found out he's been going to Vintage Days for 23
Right,
years.
yeah.
He's like an
And
old
now he's
school-
dead?
No, not
No,
yet.
no,
Not yet.
There might have been a GoFundMe or
yet.
something, though, that I saw.
Right.
No,
Something kicking around.
his head got, it was pushed in.
Yeah,
Like
his
they
head
said
got-
there was
yeah.
skull showing.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Pumpkinhead. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
not good.
5 days after
Yeah.
Halloween.
They rolled they turned too fast, and the guy was,
Don't fucking do that.
no.
Well, there was a lot. I would say there were far more side-by-side and golf cart related crashes this year. In fact, one of our friends had come in and said, like, no, man, a guy in a side-by-side came around a corner in the campsite and ran over 3 motorcycles. Side-by-sides have gotten themselves, whether or not they want it.
What is a side-by-side, just from my own edification?
Giant dune buggy, like the big razor things, the
razors,
$20,000 dune buggies with the big wheels and
20,000?
well, I mean that's
They can
that's
be.
starting
That's a decent
price.
starting place.
Well, for like the insane one, but
It's
yeah,
this kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
those-
this
all
kind
right.
of thing. And there were everything there from what would consider to be very mundane side-by-sides
So like ultra
to shit
top,
that
yeah.
was no shit 9 feet wide, 10 feet wide.
There was one guy that must have had an internal penis because his side by side was all the bigness.
Custom rims and
it
shit.
was
Yeah.
violent. And he had all the stuff. And that's what side-by-sides are. It's a real boon to the power sports industry.
And they like to play like really bad metal music. on things really loud in campsites.
Jimmy
driving
Buffett?
past it. No.
Whatever aside.
Click, boom.
Yeah. So a Can-Am Maverick X3, which I saw a few of these running around, that's $20,000.
Thank you.
Starting price. And then you put another $8,000 worth of speakers into it, and then you jack it up and
lift kits
and everything else.
But to Dan's point, there are $50,000-$60,000 versions of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you can see this in this image, there's 4 giant subwoofers built into the top of it. This is a place for rednecks to spend their money, and it's a curio cabinet with wheels. It's some way to just one up your friends for fucking
rednecks
ever.
with paychecks.
Yeah. And so the turbo is $26,000.
Now, don't get me wrong, though.
Right,
Like Dan will attest.
Yeah.
If you're out in the middle of the desert or you go to Wellsville,
they're perfect.
They're
Yeah.
fucking amazing vehicles. We're not dogging the vehicle itself. However, a placement is everything.
Wrong venue.
Yeah,
Right, wrong venue. Thank you.
Well, a lot of people were posting up. I mean, I need to take my side-by-side because I'm handicapped.
$34,000 is the price that you can buy a purchase price at the dealership for a Can-Am. Literally, that's no options. That's just the Can-Am is $34,000 for the X3 RS Turbo.
Doesn't have any doors.
Well, it has little wafers that look like doors, but it doesn't have any heat, doesn't have any air conditioning, doesn't have anything that you'd get in like a $4,000 Japanese K truck that would be narrow enough to get down the aisles at Mid-Ohio, have room for some of your friends and air conditioning and a big fucking bed. You see how much cargo capacity is in this thing? Squat-douche, as Chris would say.
That's what I said. If you're handicapped, bring your garden tractor.
Bring a garden tractor.
You can ride it anywhere you want there.
You know what you could bring? Is your handicap scooter.
The
That would
booby
work.
bouncer was perfect for that.
Right. But I guess my ultimate point would be in all these things is AMA tried to have a rule a few weeks before the event that said no side-by-sides. And the reason for that is in the swap meet, the aisles are very narrow. And we had a problem in our booth last year where we had a side-by-side trying to go past another side-by-side in the swap meet. And they got locked into each other. Their tires got locked into each other because they're so fucking wide. This thing is wider than any Honda Civic. And so they all are. So,
And I don't mean to stereotype too much, but it seems like, and this is not a generalization of all these side-by-side.
However,
but the guys that heard the disc, nobody wanted them there, and the guys that brought them, seemed like their attitude was like, fuck you and fuck you.
For sure.
And because of that, they were being more assholey with their fucking side-by-side.
they were. And
They were
you're
doing it on purpose.
absolutely right.
So, Cinch, did you teach him a lesson?
No, but we started the thing that whenever they drove by, we all started going, shame,
That is true,
shame.
And I can confirm that happened.
Yes.
There was a lot of shaming of the side-by-sides. Well, because they did seem to leave trouble in their wake. And this is a motorcycle thing. The American Motorcycle Association, it's hard to justify why you need a $32,000 Brodozer.
See, some of those are utes, though, too. Like a Kawasaki Mule would
Right.
probably be okay because it's kind of like, it's not...
It's a narrower format.
Not
It's
super
more
wide.
akin to a lightly widened golf
Maybe
cart.
what they need to do for next year is
Yeah.
just say, listen, you can bring whatever you want, but it can't be wider than 6 feet.
So
or
they
5
did
feet
have
or
a
some
sign.
shit like that.
They made a concession. They had a sign in the swap meet right of going into the swap meet that said no side-by-sides in the swap meet.
or 4x4s.
Or 4x4s. No 4x4s or side-by-sides in the swap meet. But I can assure you that many carnages were created, many troubles were had as a result of side-by-sides.
Yep.
And it's very hard, even if you're the most hardcore side-by-side enthusiast, to kind of explain why a vehicle that's designed to conquer Moab at 100 miles an hour needs to be used at a place where the maximum speed you're ever supposed to be going is 12.
Right.
Right. It's too much car for
Or
the
when
job.
you go down the lane of camping and every other human
Right.
being has to move 10 feet out of the way
That's a
because your
problem, too.
stupid ass is
Right.
coming
That's-
down.
Right.
Old
And
school
I-
trikes, that's fine.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of things that are fine, but I do see, and I understand that idea, or I understand that we just don't need this here. It's way, way, way overkill. And not for nothing, but let's just say for the sake of interest that Chris is going to go to his Coon Dog Nationals show, right?
Yeah.
Right? So he's going to go to the Coon Dog Nationals show because he wants to go look at coon dogs, right? And that's a whole thing. People do this all the time, and it's a big, big deal. If he goes to the Coon Dog National Show, he doesn't go to the Coon Dog National Show with his Bigfoot monster truck, which will cause a giant disturbance everywhere he fucking goes. because Bigfoot monster trucks got nothing to do with coon dogs, not even a little bit. And likewise, if you're going to go to an RC car convention and you show up at the RC car convention, right? And you show up there and you've got your monster truck. Well, that's kind of odd too, because you have nothing goddamn to do with RC cars.
Right.
So that makes no fucking sense. And if you insist on having your monster truck as being your means of transportation to get from your camper to the pits or your camper to the swap meet instead of walking, because I've heard many people say, well, my side-by-side is my pit bike. Then you have a very hard time identifying things. Then your brain is like little 5-year-old, 4-year-old kids go, one of these things is not like the other, right? And a pit bike and, a 475 horsepower side-by-side are not the same thing, especially when the lanes are only 8 feet wide.
It's just a dick move.
It is a dick
just
move.
straight up, it's just a dick move. It's people that are like, I'm fucking cool. I'm cooler than everybody else. I spent all this money. Fuck you.
And I spent $30,000 and you're going to appreciate it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And that was the deal. I had more fun watching the guys that took a dually, put tarps in the dually and filled it full of water so it was a rolling cold tub.
Yeah.
A rolling swimming pool. Now that's hilarious. That's funny. And they weren't trying to power down the lanes and they weren't trying to do anything. They were at less than a walking pace. And
they did it once.
Right.
And
they did it
It
once.
was to promote the captain,
Correct.
letting him know that it was going to open
and
up.
the show's
soon.
about to open.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant and they didn't run that anymore. So again, that's my take. You might not like it. I do think that it's completely inappropriate.
And here's the thing. If the side-by-side guys were smart, they would have got together and been like, hey, let's get there and be cool so that nobody can be mad at us.
Exactly.
But instead...
Or let's do this. Let's have side-by-side land.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's go
way out
over.
there.
Let's go to turn 6. Let's go over into Ewok Village.
Yeah.
And let's make that side by side a stand.
Yep.
And we make that side by side a stand. And it's like all your side-by-sides are welcome here.
Yeah.
And you guys can have your side-by-side party over there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They could have showed up. They could have done that. They could have made a good showing and been considerate and not asshole-ish.
Yeah.
But instead...
part of the problem, not part of the problem, but part of the situation is this.
Right.
Where we are camped is right down the street from the happening corner.
Yes, it is.
So the whole of AMA is taking a roll down our avenue.
Absolutely.
To come see what's going on.
Right.
So we're, it doesn't bother me too much. It's kind of fun to see the whole parade of fucking...
The parade of stupid.
Of bullshit.
That's why we camped there.
But it does get to be a little bit annoying when this big fucking thing is like running people, running, literally running people, but it's like, hey, that's not here.
So the other thing we noticed is that there was the corner that always gets mudded out.
Right.
The side-by-sides were taking
the easy lane.
The nice lane.
They were taking the nice lane.
And all the water shit that was on the corner were left for the actual riders.
People actually walking.
Yeah, because the side-by-side were on the nice
the water
part of
there
the
was
fucking
2
lane.
feet deep. I went through it 9 times on the trail, the Hunter Cub, and I loved it. But you're not kidding. The side-by-sides were taking the high, dry ground because they didn't want to get their stereo wet or whatever else they got going on. But I just, you know what?
Well, you also did it on the WAP, which looked like a jet ski because it was parting the water.
The WAP or the WAP. The WAP, again, it wins
great change of subject.
It wins my vote every year for my favorite Mid-Ohio vehicle.
Yeah.
Because that is the sexiest little Italian scooter.
Yep.
And apparently you can't stop it.
No.
So, yeah, I love that little
It parted
bike.
the sea.
I was very happy to bring it home. Yeah. And that mud hole, that 2-foot deep water hole was stalling out so many vehicles. And I looked at where the air intake is on the WAP. And it's right down on the cylinder shroud. Like that thing, that bike should have been swamped out several times, but it was too angry to stop. It was too happy to be out playing in Mid-Ohio.
A bike can suck a little water.
It'd be fine.
As long as if you got a good spark plug cap.
Yeah, don't we know about that, Sleepy? Top tip from Unkie John. Yeah. Yeah, boy, that was the case.
We fixed it.
You get a little moisture involved in that. So everybody talk about what y'all bought, because I didn't buy shit. I sold everything almost.
Yeah, Sleepy was asking that. Who bought a bike?
Now, Oscar took one bike.
Yep.
One bike. What'd you take?
CT 110?
Yeah, he took his Trail 110.
Yep.
Now, it's not stock anymore.
No. It's just lightly modified.
Lightly modified, got a nice
Tastefully.
suspension under it. Yeah, right.
Got the buddy seat and stuff.
This was the year of the CT.
Fucking, they were everywhere.
I have not seen that many fucking CTs in one place ever.
Like, everywhere.
Talk about trail insane how many trails were there.
Old ones, new ones, blue ones, 70s, yellow 90s, ones, red ones.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And also the new Hunter Cub.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, I was the only person there with a Hunter Cub, and all the old men went crazy. I couldn't go to the bathroom without getting stopped 15 times. There were a lot of those
fucking things everywhere.
There were 400 or 500 of them.
Yeah.
I got sick of looking at chubby Hunter Cubs. Yeah. So true, man. So true. Millions of those fucking things. But that had to be the most popular new bike of Mid-Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
100%.
So that was something. But yeah, you took your trail and you did not get a buyer.
I got a couple
few
people calling in and just trying.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I'll take my ball and back home and fuck you guys.
Yeah, I agree. And I totally agree. There was no offer that you got that you should have taken.
Right.
There was not a single offer that you
it was kind of
had
serious
thrown
enough
your way,
right,
that should have been taken, because every offer you got kind of sucked.
Yeah, and I was like, no.
So do you know if Nick got any offers on his dream that he picked up?
Bentley?
Oh boy, boy.
Let's hear it.
Oh boy.
Nick had a rough weekend. He doesn't like vintage bikes anymore.
I wish he was here to defend himself.
Yeah.
I'm not talking against Nick.
No, we're not either.
No.
I'm relaying what he said to all of us.
Yeah, he had a tough. He had a tough time. There's just no getting around it.
On Thursday,
is that two toughs?
Boy, he
Tough?
couldn't find a break.
Okay.
I mean, he just could not catch a break.
When we got there on Thursday, he tried to win Mid-Ohio by 1.
Yeah, he did.
He said, I'm going to have 57 beers and all this other stuff, and he was in a great mood.
And then you sent a text message saying,
I don't know.
He lost his phone.
Oh, yeah, he lost his
and
phone.
Nick is fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Nick was pretty fucked up. Nick was pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, Nick had a lot of pressure because he had to get his bike together, his Rally 200. That was a sleepy move.
That wasn't me.
I know, but it came.
Yes, it was.
I said it was a sleepy type move.
Okay.
But anyway, he had to get his Rally 200 knobbies and everything else. He had to get it dialed for tech inspection and sign in for the hair scrambles.
So how did he do it? He got hammered. That was perfect thing.
The trick is the hair scrambles had over 350 entrants.
Yeah, it was big.
Has you ever been in a race that had 350 people starting the race? Holy fucking hell,
with
man.
like Hodakas that were like louder than a fucking diesel truck with no like.
My God, man. So when they did the Thursday night business, they were like, what was the Thursday night? You had to go and get your bike teched?
No, he had an option of that day or the next day.
Right. So the Thursday night was the first option to get your bike teched.
Yep.
And he judiciously did not
Chose to wait till Friday.
Yeah.
He waited. And then Friday morning, I was a little worried he's going to sleep in and miss it. But John was
Sleep?
up and I was up, and we were up.
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Yep.
And you don't have much options there.
Nope.
But he was up and he looked a little brighter-eyed and a little more bushy-tailed, and he decided to go.
Good morning, Mid-Ohio.
Okay. No, Sleepy, that's not how it goes.
Okay. Sorry.
Friday morning, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Check. 1, 2. Check.
Yeah.
1, 2. Hey, Dave, is this on? Can you hear it? I can't hear it. Can you hear it? Can check? 1, 2. Check. And then it went silent for 3 minutes. But that was at 6:25 a.m.
Yeah.
6:25. For 3 to 5 minutes. Now everybody's awake because that was all at 170 decibels.
Woof.
Not you,
not
Dan.
me.
Not Dan. No, God, no. Dan had Jesus' own earplugs in.
My favorite was Sunday though.
Hold on.
Okay.
So then after that sound check, that world's worst mic check, maybe 10 minutes later, when everybody's just now falling back to sleep again. Okay, let's try it now. Let's see if it works now. Did you get that plugged in? All right. Can you hear it over there? Because I can't hear anything. Are you getting any feedback on that over there? Hold on. No, you're gonna. I don't think we got anything yet. And meanwhile, people are shouting from their tents.
We can hear you.
It's on, asshole.
Yeah.
But this PA system had reach, like miles of reach.
It was
probably 100 fucking loudspeakers all over the. It's all
And
over
it was
the place.
wired into every loudspeaker at Mid-Ohio. So there was a 2-second delay.
Whose unit was this?
This was Mid-Ohio's unit.
Yeah.
When they raced,
Who tied into that shit?
the motocross track had brought their own tree of speakers. So they had a tree of some beautiful amplification hanging from the sky, but they
Pink
also
Floyd.
had plugged into the main line. So they were plugged into the mains. So that was going literally to every speaker in every corner of all of the Mid-Ohio sports car course, the entire planet. Lexington got a wake-up call. Seriously. And then the guy goes, I think it's going out. Out. Oh, did you hear that echo? That's weird. I'm like, yeah, because that echo's coming in from literally 2 miles away.
Yeah.
That's why there's a delay. And then he goes, all right, hit it, check it again. Check. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. I think it's on. And then he got quiet again. And y'all fell back asleep. And then it was like, check. 1, 2. All right, everybody. It's Friday.
Yeah.
And Friday, we're going to do some, we're going to do a hair scramble today. So get your bikes down here. It was the worst fucking guy on the mic ever. The dude Sunday
It was awesome.
was awesome.
Well, Saturday was good. Saturday he did the good morning.
Okay.
Good
Right.
morning, whatever. Mid-Ohio.
Yep.
Right.
Sunday
I
was
actually
like,
kind of heard it on Sunday, but not the other days.
oh, dude, Sunday was great. He was like, Sunday was like, he wakes up, he's like, good morning, Mid-Ohio. If you're still alive, you've made it to Sunday.
Give yourself a pat on the back. You survived Mid-Ohio weekend.
Yeah.
There's going to be church services down here by the Quonset Hut, and you know a lot of you need it. Yeah. He was great. And he was rocking. So it was a totally different
Shit
person
show,
than it was
yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Whoever listened to the train wreck that was Friday morning's announcement, by popular decision, they murdered that guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was about to be pitchforks.
Oh yeah. Oh, and if that guy would have been walking around with a shirt that said "I was the morning guy" on Friday morning, he would have been stabbed, beaten with golf clubs.
Yeah.
There's no way that motherfucker would have survived. He'd have been a piñata of Roman
Probably
candles.
the same guy. He
No,
just had
there's no way. There's no way. The guy on Friday morning had straight up stage fright.
Yeah.
The guy on Saturday and Sunday morning was part of the punk rock corner.
Yeah, he was like Robin Williams.
He was like, last night's punk rock show was real good. We had to keep it down under 100 decibels because of the law. But you know what? We had a good time anyway. Thanks for coming out, folks. He was great. He rocked the mic.
I feel like, can we volunteer for that?
I know.
Well, do we really need to? No. Yeah. So that was great. And
Maybe
that
we
was a
can
good time.
build our own system.
Yeah. Again, just a proper, effective use of a good quality bullhorn to respond to that guy Friday morning.
Yeah.
I would have walked to wherever he was with a bullhorn, walked up to him, behind him very quietly, and stuck it in his ear and blown his fucking head up.
What's your name? Tony. Fuck you,
Fuck
Tony.
you, Tony. That dude was terrible. And 40 minutes early. Like, it's one thing if you're going to wake everybody up at 7 o'clock and that's the ritual and that's
fine.
what you do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the 2-stroke alarm clock's going to go off anyway.
You expect
so you're
it,
fine. You
right.
expect it.
Right.
I started coming down on Haley for firing up the SSR.
Yeah.
And then she was quick to point out, oh, he's fucking doing a sound check. I'm like,
Yeah, you got me on
Well,
that
you know
one.
what? And our neighbor, Captain
with H2?
H2
Yeah.
fucking mini bike. It was
Yeah.
like 6:58, and he was like,
That guy's got one trick in his quiver.
Yeah.
That dude has one arrow in his quiver and he breaks it out
me and
every
Oscar
year.
were talking about. We're like, does that thing really need to rev like that?
He brought out the Spider-Man shirt this year.
Yeah, he did.
So he put on the Spider-Man shirt, and that's a 400cc triple or whatever, 350 or 400cc triple. But it's in a mini bike frame type thing, and that's fun. And he put a wheelie bar on it,
That's
which
cool.
is
It's a
probably
cool.
smart.
It's
cool looking
really
bike.
nice.
It's a really
bike.
cool
Well
concept.
done, the whole thing.
But that is a one-trick pony right there. That's the only thing in the back of that van is that bike.
Yeah, you're gonna do 2-inch wheels and make noise.
Cinch.
Yep. Fair game.
Tell me about Harley Bob.
Oh,
Harley Bob had a great time.
Harley Bob did
I saw
so
a video,
well.
I think.
Harley Bob did great.
Yeah, he was good. We had fun. We made fun of everything, laughed, cried,
Yeah.
shared tomatoes.
That's all you got?
Yeah, I mean,
Harley Bob was the stabilizing force that is the great TP of weed at Mid-Ohio. And KROMKE went to the bathroom, so he can't hear any of this. But it is no joke. Bob is there for the event. Bob is a team player of the highest
yeah.
order. Did he
Cool guy.
ride anything?
Yeah, he rode Dan CB.
Oh, he did.
The
Oh,
little
but-
SSR.
Yeah, the SSR. That's right.
And
I mean, I brought him a bike. And he
Announcement to anybody who was at Mid-Ohio, we're looking, I think, for the CB hat.
No, he
So
got it.
he got
it
the
back.
CB hat
Somebody
back?
posted it back. Yeah, it fell off,
Nice.
so they found it.
Nice.
So he got his
Good
hat
job.
back. Yeah, he got his hat back.
Yeah, it was everything
KROMKE's
you wanted
back.
it to be. So if you guys weren't,
That
I'm going to
fucking
go ahead and pull
Sea-Doo.
that up. So to give you an idea of what all happens at Mid-Ohio, this is the barrel racing.
Well, and not only that, but those guys didn't know each other.
Not one, but two jet skis, two wave runners,
with wheels.
Sea-Doos,
Fucking Sea-Doos.
with scooters underneath them, right? And they're
Jeez.
in the barrel racing, beating the crap out of each other on Sea-Doos with motors underneath them.
Yeah.
And if you are looking for, and you want to know, like, how do I find this interesting thing? Type in Mid-Ohio Mayhem into your browser device because it's fucking hilarious. Two dudes going after each other on jet skis with motorcycles underneath them.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Yeah. Could not possibly have a complaint about that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it was good.
perfect.
It was good.
Absolutely.
So KROMKE's back.
So KROMKE's back, and the reason we wanted to talk about that was that nature's TP, you were truly the ambassador to our reservation. Like if we were the FEMA campsite, you were the gatekeepers, because in order to get to our FEMA rescue tent, you had to first pass through our ambassador's TP, which meant you probably had to smoke the peace pipe because. Yeah. Man, there was no shortage of hospitality.
No.
It was epic. And you guys did a great job. If you needed a little medicine, if you needed to get in touch with your spirit animal, the teepee was perfect. That teepee was so cool.
I brought 52 burritos.
You did?
And I came home with 3.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Wow.
There is.
No, not just me, but people were kind of hungry, so I
Yeah.
had a burrito out or
Yeah.
two, and it was nice.
You worked a deal for your. Okay, so we'll
I
wait
did.
till
Well,
you-
yeah, no, that's fine.
That's okay. Right.
So yeah,
So tell us more.
So I got a 1972 RV 90.
Right.
I've wanted one ever since I rode Johnny Chrome's back like a million years ago.
Oh,
That
yeah.
thing. I've always been eyeballing it, but it's I always want one, then I forget about it. Then I want one and I forget about it. But a couple weeks ago, I saw this guy said, "Hey, I'm bringing this one to Mid-Ohio," and he seemed like a pretty cool fellow.
Did he seem cool, Sleepy?
He seemed all right.
He seemed all right.
It'd be really cool if you did.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
So I messaged him and I said, "Hey, I might be interested in your bike, blah, blah." We got to talking. He had some common interest. He likes burritos and tomatoes and things like that.
Right. Yeah, right.
And so I floated a few bills, a few burritos, and maybe a jar of tomatoes. And now I have an RV 90.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
it paid off.
Wow. I was everywhere I went. We remember a couple of years ago where you talked about a cold beer is currency at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
Apparently the green gods have smiled on Mid-Ohio.
Yeah. Did you hear that somebody, I know they were being facetious, but on Monday on the Vintage Days boards, somebody said, like, I think Mid-Ohio was overrun by skunk this weekend.
Yes, I said the same. Like anywhere you went, you were like, did somebody just run over a fucking polecat? Like anywhere you went, you're like, wow, nature is strong here.
Yeah.
I expected to see Pepe Le Pew walking through at any moment going, hey,
Hey, mon chéri.
mon chéri, pardon my odeur. It was so stanky.
One of my favorite parts of the whole, not the favorite, but one of them, me, Dan, and Harley Bob were by the teepee enjoying a burrito. And Bob goes, "Hey, man, there's some satellites up there." And I'm like, hell yeah. But they really were. The Starlink satellites were going over.
And there you were.
At least we think it was the same.
Yeah, I don't know. Did we check that? Did we
It was the effect of the burritos.
I have a picture to prove it.
Okay. Yeah, the blurry wiggly thing that you're telling me is a satellite.
Wow.
Basically, it's the Sasquatch picture of fucking satellites.
Yeah.
Give Harley Bob a little bit of credit, though.
Yeah,
no, he was great.
Yeah. Oh, it was so. I had to self-medicate after my stitches, so I didn't want to go too hard because I know that if the only thing worse than getting stitches in your asshole is, all the things you have to go through to get stitches in your asshole. Your friends got to see your asshole, right? You got problems, right? You have a lot. Your problems are numerous, and they line up, and they just keep stacking up on top of each other. But it's also a really bad part of your anatomy to have fucked up if you like riding motorcycles.
Yeah,
because there ain't no way to sit on a motorcycle without fucking making the situation worse. And you damn sure can't throw your leg out in a hurry.
All right.
You can't really do anything.
You can
in a
only
hurry.
ride so long on your right cheek.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I was doing. I was favoring my right butt cheek, because where the crevice was. And that part of my body that had, 10 stitches, 2 on the inside, 8 on the outside, holding everything together, that part of my body is a part that is in a pinch zone, right? Mm-hmm. It's a bad spot. So I tried riding around a little bit to be part of the team in spirit and take a few laps of the barrel racing because I love it. Mm-hmm. And it hurt so bad, but I was terrified if I threw my leg out because barrel racing is all left turns, right?
Yeah.
So if I threw my left leg out for a turn, it would just pull the fucking stitches out.
Yep.
And then guess what you are? You're the asshole that had to go get 10 more stitches in your asshole.
Yep.
And you lost the race.
And you lost the race and you're bleeding all over everybody. And, and I've never had to get stitches on top of stitches before, but I'm sure it's ugly because they got to take the old stitches out. So long and short.
They say, where the fuck did you get these first stitches
put in? Yeah, we did this one. Exactly. And so anyhow, and plus, pulling stitches out, it's got to be ugly, right? So I don't worry about the scars, but I was just worried about the downtime. So after a few laps of barrel racing on the TNT 135 Benelli.
Who's going to see that scar?
Nobody. Well, no, y'all are next year. Game on.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to see that scar. Get used to it. I might get a tattoo there. So,
Scar, showing your
2022.
Yeah.
But here's the reason I wanted to say it because
I'd be willing to sign it.
there, John could sign it.
Damn.
I only did a few laps and it hurt. And it hurt bad. And when it hurt bad, but I didn't pop a stitch, I was kind of like, fuck that, dumbass. You got to settle down.
Yep.
So I went back to camp. I had a burrito. So I went back to camp and I got fucking stoned. And
Was Bob there?
I had, yes, but I had an edible that I knew, I had an edible that I knew wasn't working. So I had this edible and it clearly wasn't working. So after about an hour, I was like, this edible's broken. I need to go in. And I had
Step up.
So I had some tincture. So I had some, medicinal.
Was the edible from Bob?
Yeah, it was. And I had some tincture. So I had a little bit of tincture. And I was like, okay, well, these are all, basically all of these were, indica flavored things. So I was like, this is exactly what I need.
Yep.
And so I had the tincture and that was broken. That didn't work. So the tincture was broken. So about an hour later, somebody came by with something that smelled fantastic. And I was like, you know what? I had a little bit of bourbon that one of our podcast listeners brought that was beautiful, delicious, wonderful bourbon. So fucking good. And I had some of that. And then I was like, okay, I'll just have a few hits on this, and apparently at that moment, the rabbit hole effect hit. And the rabbit hole hit.
And you go
fuck me
chasing
running.
rabbits.
I was incapacitated. It was insane. And people were like, let's go down to watch the burnout pit. I walked down to the burnout pit. Don't remember any of it. I felt like I was walking down the tunnel of light from the $6 Million Man episode. And so, I get all the way down to the other end. I'm at the burnout pit for about 30 seconds. Couldn't handle it. Lost my mind. fucking walked back down to the camp, and I think that walk back down to the camp took 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
Because I stopped and saw Bob on the way because I had to walk past the teepee.
All right.
Fuck that teepee. Bob's like, are you sure you're okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And Bob's like, you're not fine. Bob threw me under the bus so hard. And he's like, you know, Phil, you should probably just go sit in a chair and watch the world go by. That's what Bob said. He's like, you know, Phil, you should probably. In his Bob delivery, he nailed it. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go. He goes, get a good chair. Get a good, comfortable chair.
Yeah, and
I'll come and check on you in a half an hour.
Wise words.
Never saw him again. And in about 17 hours later, everybody came back from the burnout pits with fireworks. It was epic.
Yeah,
it was
good.
fantastic. It was so good. And I didn't drink. Like, I drank nothing. So Saturday morning, I felt like $1 million.
Dude, that was every day. So this was my first year in not having you
You
guys.
pulled Irish goodbye too, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's like everybody's like, "Where's Phil?" I'm like,
No, do you know where I was?
"He's not here. He's probably sleeping."
No, I wasn't sleeping. I was sitting in my good camp chair.
Yeah.
I was sitting in my good camp chair between your camper and my setup.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there watching everything. It was great. It was fantastic.
All quiet, peaceful.
I had myself backed up against the fence so nobody could sneak up on me. Because, you know, you get a little weird. And since I had my back to the fence and I was totally cool, I just sat there and I just watched you guys. And it was amazing. And I heard you saying, like, where's Phil? And I was like, if I say something, they'll come over here. And I don't want them to come over here. So I just stayed invisible. Yeah. I was there till 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
okay.
Dude,
It was great. Yeah.
I was California sober the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And it was fucking great. Getting up at 6:30, fucking making
California
breakfast,
sober.
fucking everything. But I'll say this, on Saturday night,
Yeah.
I ate so many burritos that I became sober.
Oh.
I went around the circle
Yeah.
and then came back.
broke on through.
I did. Like, I was like, I think I'm going to go take a shower. I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, you know, Phil, Bob's edibles are made out of the part of the burrito that's left over after you're done with it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
You know what?
Makes sense.
I feel bad for ever accusing Bob of having broken edibles.
It's a late infuse.
But it was such a delayed fuse. And it was so...
Oh, well, and he was telling me, so like basically he takes enough meat to make
There you go,
what
Chris.
normal people would be, it'd be like 100 burritos.
Yeah.
But he makes 30 out of that 100. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, there you go. Just a little chicken meat hanging out for you.
If you
thanks.
if you put like a little curly hair at the top of it, it might, you know.
That's what Liza was saying, right?
Yeah.
No, that's what she said about my blow up thing.
What?
She was in love with my green blow up thing.
Oh, you're-
well,
yeah,
yeah, that
your
too, but no, she was
inflatable
saying the
seat,
same
yeah.
thing to Phil about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Want to hear a joke?
I always want to hear a joke, Chris.
A couple, 78 years old, went to a sex therapist's office. The doctor asked, "What can I do for you?" The man says, "Well, will you watch us have sex?" The doctor looked puzzled but agreed. The couple finished. The doctor said, "There's nothing wrong with the way you have sex," and charged them $50. This happened several weeks in a row, and the couple would make an appointment, have sex, no problem, pay the doctor, and then leave. Finally, the doctor said, "Just exactly what are you trying to figure out?" "We're not trying to find out anything," the husband replied. "She's married, we can't go to her house. I'm married, we can't go to my house. The Holiday Inn charges $90, the Hilton charges $108. We do it here for $50, and I get $43 back from Medicare."
Nice.
That's it. Sorry.
That's fantastic.
Shit joke, but there you go.
Hey, to back that one up, so there was a study that recently came out, and it said that most Japanese men have sex 3 times a year, where most American men have sex 3 times a week. The biggest shocking part about this is I never knew I was Japanese.
Wah, wah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So everybody knows we talk about the Mid-Ohio. One of the experiences about the Mid-Ohio is the Unicorn Girls, right?
Yep.
And so the Unicorn Girls, they were kind of off the radar this year. We didn't see
Yeah,
them
everybody was
around,
looking for 'em.
harassing us and
Yeah.
hassling us and all that kind of stuff. The Unicorn Girls were just AWOL. We didn't know where they were. And it got to be a little kind of like a little weird. You're like, where the hell are the unicorn girls? And well, eventually,
there were imposters. There were older ladies trying to be unicorn.
Oh, Haley.
Oh, yeah.
And Liza had got and brought unicorn helmets and little dress-up outfits.
Liza's not a young lady.
No, but they were doing it in the tribute to the unicorn girls, right?
Right.
So it's a tribute to the unicorn girls. But if you hung out at the race, if you hung out at the barrel races, sure as shit, the unicorn girls showed up. And the unicorn girls showed up. And the girl now, I think she's 14 or 15 years old. She's the one seated on the motorcycle. And the unicorn girls showed up and they were rocking the fuck out on a CRF 50 automatic motorcycle, no clutch.
Lapping everyone.
And, you know, in the back straight on the barrel races, there's a bit of a bump. There's a bit of a little jump in there. And these girls would hit that jump. And when they hit that fucking jump, the whole bike would go in the air. And the girl on the back who has no pegs and wearing shorts and Vans, you see what she's wearing there in the picture. She's wearing, you know, little shorts, little nylon shorts. And her legs go flying in the air. And she's holding on to her sister for dear life. And the sister's legs go flying in the air and their butts are 8 inches, 10 inches off the seat. And they land it. And they land it just in time to dive into this fucking wicked berm. I mean, the hook on that turn, you get down into that crevice and you can just slingshot out of it.
Well, it's so low, I can't believe their pegs don't
Me
grab.
too. And they're hitting
yeah.
it every single time. 300 laps, nobody could fucking catch them.
Nope.
They're so fast.
And if you did try to take them, they'd fucking put you out.
Oh,
There's
no.
elbows getting thrown.
There's elbows and legs getting thrown and everything. I got people bouncing off me
I
left, right, and
swear I
center.
saw the tall one chewing tobacco.
So we got our photo taken with the unicorn girls. It's so much fun. But we talk about unicorns and unicorn sightings. So it turns out that one of our podcast listeners who was down in Costa Rica, Paul Kelly sent us, he's a Patreon, and he sent us a unicorn sighting. And I got to say, I'm impressed because Paul Kelly sent us the picture of an actual, real, honest to God, living, breathing Honda unicorn. And here it is, folks. I'll pull it up so we can all see it and worship it. There it is. That is, in all of its radiant splendor, a Honda CB 160 unicorn. Oh. So these markets, these markets, like where Moeen was talking to us about Pakistan, right, where every motorcycle that gets brought into Pakistan has a 200% tariff. Well, when Merritt and I were down in Costa Rica, we noticed that all the motorcycles seem to be on the, affordable side of things. And that's because this bike, in fact, is a Costa Rica market bike. And it's a CB 160 unicorn. Don't look bad as hell. And that's a unicorn.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Motorcycles that are named after animals, that's a real one.
Yeah.
All right, changing a little bit of subject before Phil gets back. I thought there was a ferry sighting as well. And I mean, it's not a unicorn, but I think there was a Bourbon ferry in Mid-Ohio?
Yeah. Bourbon Ferry was in Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
What?
It came together, man.
Yeah. For a lot of people, let me just give the Bourbon Ferry story.
Okay.
Because there is actually a story, and it actually dates back to way back when.
When did it start?
Yeah, so way back when, in Mid-Ohio history, I used to be the VJMC field rep. So we would actually camp out. We used to camp out right by our exhibit in the infield. And that got kind of boring. I mean, just because you're not around any action. So we would then jump on a bike or something, and we'd go visit some of our friends or something. But we'd grab a bottle of something special. And so, late at night when we were looking for something to do, we would just cruise around and, hey, there's a campfire. So we'd roll up, jump off our bikes, be like, hey, guys, we want to try some of this, whatever we had. So that was sort of a thing that we used to do all the time. Kind of got away from it. Friends change, things change and everything. But then like last year, coming back after no Mid-Ohio and COVID and everything, we were sitting around and I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
Let's go bombing some campsites.
Oh, you said, come with me. And I said,
Yes,
okay.
I remember that.
And then I didn't know what we were doing. And then all of a sudden you're like, let's go give bourbon to people. And I was like, this is a great idea.
So I grabbed a bottle of bourbon and I'm like, let's go see what's going on out there in Mid-Ohio campground.
Yep.
and just rolling up on people. Hey, how you doing? Where are you from? My name's John. I'm from Cleveland.
Nice to meet you.
Where you want some bourbon? What do you got there? Bourbon? Are you kidding me? Bourbon? Yeah, sure. Have some bourbon. So
And everybody was receptive and
Yeah,
happy, and it
super
seemed
cool
like a
about
great thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think actually, I'll credit you with the whole bourbon fairy idea.
Yeah.
I think you were like, oh, you were just like this bourbon fairy that shows up out of nowhere and
Yep.
everything. And then, talking some more, and it was like, we should do this next year. We should do it, So next thing you know, there's wings, there's a tutu, there's a
sprayer.
the garden sprayer and
With
everything.
LEDs on it.
With LEDs.
That looked pretty
and
cool.
But
light
here's
up.
the thing: it would only work with John. Like
Oh,
it
hell
can't
yeah.
be anybody else because first of all, he's 6'9", 300 pounds, muscle killer.
That's not even true. But
Well,
okay.
you're a big dude.
Okay.
And so a couple as this was going on, like the first few people were like pretty stoked. It was really successful. I was like, wow, these guys are into it. And it kept getting better and better. But we had a couple guys that were like, what kind of fucking bet did you lose? But John's big enough that he was able to just play it and be like, I'm the bourbon fairy.
Just own it, man.
and then it worked.
Nobody wanted to fuck with that bourbon fairy.
No.
Nobody wanted to fuck with that bourbon.
No, and it worked out, and I mean, people were happy. You provided joy to a lot of people.
There's a lot of people just laugh their asses off at that. They're like, it is bourbon. It's really bourbon. Yeah.
Well, the best part was, like the first they'd be like a garden sprayer, and then you'd hit them with it, and they're like, holy shit, it's bourbon. But then the funny part was, and I don't know if you did this purposely or not, but the first person you would kind of like give it to them, but not flood them.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, holy shit, it's bourbon. So their buddy would be like, hit me. And then John unleashed the hose on them. And so they were like drowning. They were like, whoa.
There is something satisfying about that little freaking jet of bourbon just going.
But the best was the one guy that was kind of questioning it.
And then the thing started sticking.
Oh, yeah.
So you'd hit him, and then it was like,
But the best was the one guy that was kind of questioning it. And you were all like, I'm the bourbon fairy. I'm here to break your bourbon fairy. And he's like, oh, no. You're like, drink from the hose.
Well, the day after you did that Friday night, and then the next day, we had that downpour on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And some people came by looking for the bourbon fairy.
yeah.
And I'm just like, well, he's in his camper right now. Leave him alone. I go walking back to our campsite, and there's like a line at the door of his camper. People coming to get shots from the bourbon fairy.
Yeah, they were knocking. It was like,
Oh,
where's
that's
the
it. And then
bourbon fairy?
by Saturday, as soon as you came out, like ahead of wherever we went, people were like, it's the bourbon fairy. So we're going to try to incorporate it so that if you leave snacks out, we will come to your campsite.
There you go.
We got to get something out of this deal,
how about boobies out?
Oh, that'd
There
be
you
nice
go.
too.
Yeah, but people were really stoked
People
about the
were
whole
talking
thing.
about. People were talking about what other traditions can we create at Mid Ohio?
Yeah.
And I'm all for the motorboat booth.
Need some bourbon.
Well, we are gonna bring Not a Ramp version 2 next year.
Yeah, that
We're
was
gonna step
something
it up.
that was sorely missed.
A lot of people got
Was
mad at us.
ramp.
I saw a video. Somebody stole our idea. There was a ramp somewhere else, but it was
that's
not
good.
a ramp, which
That's
is
better
fine.
than no ramp.
It was.
not a
But
ramp.
next year we're stepping it up. If I have to bring a whole new vehicle to bring a not a ramp, I'm bringing.
My water balloon game was a little bit weak. I threw some, but I usually like to get the water balloon.
We did
game.
okay with fireworks though.
Oh, yeah.
Haley got to learn about how you do American fireworks.
She was stoked about like every single thing you brought out. She was like, oh my God, what is this?
Well, you know what? You know what ended up being.
Wayne and Haley fucking slid into our operation like pros.
Yeah.
I got to give it to those guys. They showed up and didn't freak out. They didn't
No.
panic.
Nope.
They didn't lock up.
Fucking
They
lean
were
into
like,
that shit. Yeah.
Give me a lighter.
Yep.
Game on.
You know what's funny? You know what?
blowtorch.
The blowtorch. But you know what worked way better and actually was pretty fucking impressive was the 9,000 sparklers lit off at one time.
fuck
It
yeah.
created the sun for a second. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
I think next year we want the bourbon fairy to arrive in an SSR
In style.
driven chariot.
that would be good.
Oh.
Well, and I didn't get to do a bourbon fairy burnout, which was sad. I should have done that. That would.
We got to prepare.
You got to save
Next year.
something for next year.
Next year.
Well, we
year.
had a proof the concept, and now we can take it to the third level.
It's stuck. So now
Yeah,
we can step
yeah.
it up now. Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna make this good. We're
I
gonna.
like the chariot idea of having him in the back on the booby bouncer and then just like kind of haul him in so we don't have to walk. I mean, it'd
Yeah.
make it easier.
I don't mind walking. You kind of just sneak up
We need
on
a parade float that we can.
Ooh, now we're talking. Got to put LEDs on the booby bouncer.
Yeah.
Well, somebody
yeah.
said we could have whiskey hoti, which I thought was kind of. A lot of people asked for tequila. Well, if it was tequila, I'd have some, but no bourbon.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. But that is not tequila.
So looking at you, Oscar, looking at me.
2 flasks.
Yeah.
I see a big sombrero in your future.
We can double up on the effort. You want the tequila
You could be
shots, or you want the
you could be
bourbon
Oscar
fairy?
Oscar Tiquoti.
But if you do that, you got to wear those boots with like the points that go like 9 feet off your toes.
Full matador outfit.
Jesus.
Pistoleros?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bottles? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So, did
yeah.
anybody get footage of the Bourbon Fairy taking a shower?
I
shower?
was
Let's
too
hope
busy.
not.
I was too busy holding down my fucking tent that was getting smashed.
Yeah.
So if anybody didn't know, it did deluge. It turned in. So all of our guests got the
It
full
did what?
experience. It deluged.
Deluge.
Not deluge, but deluged.
Whatever.
Whatever.
You know what I mean. It fucking
He's not
rained.
Canadian.
And so we got to experience a little Mud Ohio like usual, but we were actually we were supporting Moen his talk, and as we were sitting there, it got darker and darker, and then we heard the rumbles,
Hit
and
the
then
fan.
it fucking poured, just down like gallons.
Tell me about the Summit pop-up tent. Where'd that come from?
It's one of my work perks. I get.
I mean,
employed.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's
it was
fucking really
It was
cool.
a cool setup.
And it survived. That one survived. My other tent, but the parts are only $12. But my other tent got pushed because the wind
Nice.
hit. We got a micro burst and it just pushed my tent. in a
Yeah,
little
so in
bit.
the middle of this torrential downpour, we're trying to hook up ratchet straps to hold
Anything,
down because yours was his tent / pop-up was the anchor for this whole pop-up city that we built.
we had about 15 tents
So
connected.
if we lost
together.
that, we lost everything. So
Yeah.
we got that ratchet strap down.
And then John was naked and showering in the
wasn't
rain.
naked.
Oh shit! I
had
forgot about
shorts on.
that.
Mostly Nick.
You're like,
Yeah.
this feels so good.
He was all shampooed and a fucking
I'm like, I'm getting wet.
monsoon.
I'm like, I might as well get a good shampoo in.
You did.
Come
I
on,
felt
John.
fantastic.
You look like a
afterwards.
Cupid doll because you had it all foamed up and curled into the center. It was
Yeah, he was having
perfect.
trouble rinsing
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
Well, have you ever seen the videos of when like somebody's in the shower and you sneak up on them and somebody just keeps putting like you're at a beach and you're trying to rinse
Oh,
off
yeah, and somebody keeps-
somebody just keeps putting shampoo and you're like, I can't rinse it. And you're like, I couldn't get it rinsed. There wasn't enough rain, and then finally Dan dumped some water on me. That was good.
Dude, I thought I was cool. Chris Smith, you like this. I thought I was the cool guy, so I brought my muck boots, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, oh, Moto Ohio, fuck yeah, I'll
yeah,
bring
yeah.
my boots. I'll keep my feet dry.
Oh.
But then my dumb ass tucked my pants into it, which turned into funnels to like direct all the water that fell into my boots. So at
Dumbass.
one point, I'm sitting there because it kind of happened slow and the water was warm. I had fucking aquariums for feet. Like it was literally, they ballooned out
Yeah.
and it turned into giant 80-pound.
Strategic error.
Yeah.
We had a
Concept, but it didn't work out.
Oh, heads up.
Going to kind of wrap it up early because the gentleman's here to pick up a Daihatsu Midget Japanese domestic
Oh,
vehicle,
shit, yeah.
which is a very strange vehicle, but it's only 4 feet wide. The wheels are only 4 feet apart.
Oh, you could take that to Mid-Ohio
Well,
instead
the
of a
problem is
side-by-side.
the truck he brought,
Oh no.
3 feet wide.
Has a center open.
5 feet wide.
Open
So
center.
we're going to have to help spot him and make sure that he doesn't fall off. This is Evel Knievel, Moyen Khan, and the Circus Tightrope Show all wrapped up in one.
Nice.
So we're going to have to go ahead and, folks, ride fast and take chances.